an interesting comment just made by the Treasurer, Josh Frydenberg, a short time ago. When it comes to borders and the potential reopening of international borders in any significant way, assumptions are going to be in place tonight. When do you think is a reasonable enough time frame?
Look, I don't know, Peter. It's going to depend on the rest of the world, really. We have to maintain the safety of Australians, and that means that any arrival of people from overseas without strict quarantine is going to depend on the spread of the coronavirus overseas. And that's something that's pretty hard to predict. If you'd asked me a couple of months ago, things were pretty hopeful, I think, that the world was getting on top of the spread of coronavirus. And then, of course, the outbreak has occurred in India that has upended that assumption. So just like we've lived over the last year or so, we live in a time of great uncertainty. But the key thing for us is to just remain nimble enough to respond. Our economy is going very well. That'll be confirmed in the budget tonight. The wisdom of the decisions the government has made over the past year will be confirmed in the budget tonight. And the irresponsibility of the calls from the Labor Party to extend JobKeeper only a month or two ago will also be confirmed tonight, because thank God we didn't take that up and spend billions of dollars of more money.
We had the tourism industry on our show a little bit earlier, and they do acknowledge that it is uncertain and it's going to continue to be uncertain. But on the flip side, how do you provide some certainty to the tourism sector that is, as you know, has just been decimated by the whole thing?
Well, what we can do is obviously support those that continue to be affected. And the government has supported travel agents, for example, to the tunes of hundreds of millions of dollars. And there is some expectation there might be more assistance for the tourism industry tonight, although I don't have special information on that. That's what we can do. Unfortunately, we cannot provide certainty. Scott Morrison can't stop the coronavirus in Nepal or in Pakistan or in Saudi Arabia or any other country. None of us can. So what we have to do is deal with the world as it is, not as we would wish it to be. And that means providing the assistance and support that we can, that's affordable, as we have over the past year, and just remaining ready to reopen if and when the rest of the world gets vaccinated and or the threat of coronavirus is not what it used to be.
So far, some of the forecasts that have been leaked this morning, $53 billion better off. It's not at all bad, is it?
Look, it's an amazing turnaround from 12, even 6 months ago, really, but from 12 months ago, it's a massive turnaround. 12 months ago, we weren't having a budget because of the need to social distance and travel restrictions. 12 months ago, we hadn't yet had the outbreak in Melbourne and the lockdown there. A lot's happened in the past 12 months. So, look, it's been an amazing turnaround. In saying that, of course, the deficit still will sit in the hundreds of billions of dollars. We probably will still approach something like $1 trillion in debt. And I think we do have to be a little concerned at the moment about the how hot the economy is running. No one's talking about it, but I'm worried about inflation.
Well, that's a good concern. That's a good point. That's a concern that's being raised now in the United States as well. It's a legitimate concern. So just elaborate on your issue there with potential overheating here.
Well, I think, as you point out, the concern is given voice more in the United States with people like Larry Summers, former Treasury Secretary, raising concerns on inflation. Michael Burry, who he's the star of The Big Short, if you've seen that movie, but he picked the global financial crisis. He too is worried about inflation. And so there are some serious voices raising these concerns. Now, we don't see that in the data right now, but we don't want the inflation genie to come out of the bottle because he doesn't grant you wishes. That once he's out, that it's too late. And so I'm a little concerned at the RBA's seeming sanguine attitude to leaving interest rates very, very low for 3 years almost, regardless of what happens or the data. I would like to think we'd be more proactive than that. I realise the experts here are saying that the so-called NAIRU, the non-accelerating inflation rate of unemployment, is lower than where we are, and we can keep going for a bit longer. But I worry sometimes there's truth in the old saying, Peter, that an expert is just someone who's made every mistake in a narrow field. And that's particularly true in economics. The economic recession, the history of recessions is littered with examples where people don't predict what might happen. And I just think we've got to be a bit careful given how hot we see our economy and housing markets and the labour market and the like.
And how long can we bank on iron ore to stay at, what, $200 US a tonne at the moment?
Well, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a great unknown. I mean, I can't imagine it will stay at these sort of levels for any sustained period of time. Supply from Brazil will come online over the next year. And of course, at a price of $200 a tonne, other suppliers will come on board. That will always be the case. So, look, there's you know, as I said earlier, the story tonight is an overwhelming positive one. Things have improved considerably since the last year, and the government's made excellent decisions on the economy. But we shouldn't rest on our laurels, and I think some have to raise the issue. You know, are we doing enough to tackle inflation? And we shouldn't just glibly accept the prognostications of the Reserve Bank of Australia when we know economists and central banks have made mistakes in the past.
Yep. Okay. Senator Matt Canavan, always good to talk. Chat to you soon.